The regular council meeting is called to order at 6:01 p.m. because the treasurer needed to get a glass of water. Present are Council President Chris Vachon, Council Member Cameron Charbonneau, Council Member Clark Curtis, Council Member Rick Upford Chase, Treasurer James Johnson, the Fire Chief and members of the Fire Department, and pardon me, members online, department head members, and expected to be joining us is the zoning administrator Frank Cheney, but he has not come. Okay, next item on the agenda, additions, deletions to the agenda. I have a few updates, please. May I please have a motion to correct the citation on agenda item number 14 to read 1 VSA section 313A1F, which was to be included in the agenda before posting, but didn't make it to the posting time.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I know.
Second.
A motion and a second. Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. And the motion is carried.
Can you just clarify?
Sure.
Change?
Number 14, we have, if you go to, pardon me, somebody changed my numbers, because I have new numbers now. It was, where's the one with the rule?
Which one are you looking for?
Well, I read unnumbered mine, so it was a motion to the agenda item number 14.
What do we change?
See, if you go to 14, see where it says hiring and firing policy executive session, we needed to add 1 VSA section 313A1F to that.
Thank you.
Okay? Sure. Next item, the next item I have as an update is, may I please have a motion to rename item number 3 to, yeah, we did. Yeah, bodies have it, motion's carried. May I have a motion to rename item number 13 to read evaluation of candidate for potential appointment as fire chief?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. I move that the council add to the agenda the following 2 items, which would be listed as agenda item number 3 and 4 respectively, if so carried. First one would be the creation of a 40-hour per week administrative firefighter, and to have that a ratification.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion?
So this is just to ratify
Right.
what we already did.
Exactly. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. And the second one, which would be number 4, would be creation of an internal grants manager position for ratification. I have that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. I also need to add to the consent agenda, we just received from the treasurer a tobacco license for Von Coney. And I have a motion to add that to the consent agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Council members, anyone have any additions or deletions? Bless you. President Fashawn,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Charbonneau,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Curtis.
No, thanks.
Councilmember Alfred
No,
Chase,
thank you.
Treasurer Johnson.
No, you did mine.
Right, besides that, this is,
No.
you're good? Okay. Okay. So now we are going to the new item number 3, which is the creation of a 40-hour per week administrative firefighter and ratification. May I have a motion for that creation and ratification?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Comment?
Madam Mayor, could you just explain what the position is?
You have a comment?
I'd just like to know what the position is.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. And the next item, may I have a motion, please, for the creation of an internal grants manager position and ratification.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
and a second. Comment? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Regular meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2024. I move that the council edit the mistaken citation in the motion to now enter executive session under agenda item 5 to reflect the intent of the council to enter executive session pursuant to 1 VSA section 313A3, which was the appointment or employment of evaluation of a public officer or employee. A motion, do I have a second? You have the minutes?
Sorry, can you help me find where we are?
Sure. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to. Yes, and sustained on the citation, I enter into executive session under item. Is a section 3. Oh, here it is. Should be 3. See, we have A1.
That should be a 3.
It should be a 3.
I see.
Do you
Thank
find
you.
it? Everyone got it?
Yep.
Okay. I have a motion, do I have a
It
second?
should be a 3.
Instead of a 1, then it should be a 3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. The AP warrants for December 3rd, 2024, December 6th, 2024, December 13th, 2024 on the consent agenda, payroll warrants of December 12th, 2024, liquor licenses, vendor permits, special events permits, now to include the license application of Industrial Cigars LLC, which was Von Coney. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as edited?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next, we don't need to sign off on this. We just read that. Thank you. And the minutes are now going around. Did you take the minutes? Did I take the minutes?
You haven't, I haven't seen.
That's great. Jim handed them to me. I will take sole responsibility for putting it into the sieve of the minutes. Do you have the minutes?
I just have the draft.
Don't write on yours.
Was a draft.
I had a draft, but I changed that 1 to 3.
Right, that's what we need to do.
That's the minute.
That's exactly it, that's the minutes. Do you see it has the 3 columns there?
Yeah, I got it.
It's the last
Sorry.
meeting of the year.
Now I realize they were sitting at the spot when I came in.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the fire department contract with Coventry with a potential vote. You should have that in your packet, and you should also have the prior one that was in your packet, the one we signed from last year. So what I want you to understand is that the only changes from 2024 to 2025 are the dates and who is signing. Once we approve this, Coventry is actually sitting over at their select board meeting now. We will let them know we've approved it, and they will take action to approve it on their side once we let them know that we've approved it. So, may I have a motion, please, pardon me, to approve the fire department contract with Coventry?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, comments? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried, and if you will give me 1 moment, I will let them know. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the 2025 City Council meeting schedule. You should have that as well in your packet. The meetings go from January 6th through December 15, 2025. And that includes our informational meeting at the annual meeting, as well as the annual meeting itself on March 4th. So you'll have March 3rd would be the informational meeting, and March 4th would be the annual meeting. And thank you, President Fishon, for putting that together.
I did notice one mistake. I put June 116 of 2025.
That's the
I think
where
it's
we
in
take a long
October.
break.
Alright, so I'll go back and fix that, but,
Is it the 11th or the 16th?
16.
Okay, thank you.
For what date was that?
For June, if you go to the minutes of June, it says 116.
Oh, yeah.
All the other dates are set for the first and third Mondays unless there was a holiday on one of those. I moved it to the next.
Thank you.
Okay. There's actually, September 1st is a Labor Day.
Oh,
March 11th is a Tuesday. It's the second Tuesday. And I don't know if President's Day is a holiday.
so I left President's Day as it is because last year we had it on President's Day, so I wasn't sure.
Hey,
So Kevin, that was March 11th, and what you said the other one, you said when's a Tuesday?
So March 11th was the Tuesday.
Right.
The third Monday would be the 17th.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay, so March 17th is what we want to change that to, right? Taking back my thank you.
And Labor Day, September 1st. I don't know if you want to do September 8th. It's the next Monday. And like I said, I don't know about President's Day, February 17th, whether it's a recognized holiday or.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how they change the names in the legislature of things on holidays at this point. I don't know what they call them, so if you
Small
know.
Washington first thing.
Okay, yeah.
President's
But I'm just saying,
It is all.
is it still President's Day? Okay.
So that would be,
So we would push that to the 24th? Is that what we're saying?
is it political?
So let's make sure we're doing this. We're going the 24th for
February.
February. So are we moving each day back down another week, or are you gonna keep those days as is and just change the ones that are?
Now I'm double guessing myself.
We,
Oh, no, don't do that.
all the rest are good, Chris.
Okay.
It's just those three things we have to,
February 24th, March 17th, June 16th, and September 8th.
yeah.
All good?
Thank you for that.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve, please, the 2025 regular city council meeting schedule as amended?
So,
I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Matt? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. I'm going to give you the handwritten one, Jim. That's,
I got it on.
oh, I'm gonna take that back. Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is VLCT and interviews, a discussion. I'm sorry, just let me just confirm this to everybody. Coventry said, awesome, thank you. They're going to take it onto their agenda right now. VLCT, I had calls with them, and VLCT regarding our city manager search. And VLCT has agreed to reimburse us for 50% of the cost of that search for $5,000. And so if you're all pretty good with that, I'm just going to accept that unless you have some concerns. Good. I mean, it's just pretty much formality, but, you know, we don't have to, like, we can vote if you want to vote, but it's up to you. I just want you to know that they did make that offer. They will, of course, said that, you know, of course, going forward, you know, they always will work with us. They will always, you know, take more time to do background searches, et cetera, and we're in, you know, good standing, of course, with them at all times. This was just, you know, a unique situation. Okay, so I will shoot that out to them and send them over. They requested an invoice be sent. I'll send that with the treasurer, and we'll get that $5,000 back, okay? Regarding interviews, I want to have a discussion, please, about when you would like to advertise for the city manager. Do you want to wait till New Year's? Do you want to do it before New Year's? Do you have any ideas what you'd like to do?
that's a good question. The sooner the better, in my opinion. And with folks going back homes for holiday breaks, we might get some people coming back to Newport falling back in love with it. So sooner rather than later, in my opinion.
Okay. Thoughts, Kevin?
I agree with Chris.
Uh-huh.
It'll probably take a while. I mean, there may be some people coming home for the holidays, but many other people will just be with their family and whatever. Yeah, we've got to put it out there.
Okay, Rick? Councilmember?
What's gone through my mind is whether we should take a pause and talk through the various responsibilities of the city manager and figure out if there's another way to cover them for a period of months while we get our house in order. In other words,
Okay, so this means, make sure I'm following you, so we're not gonna change the chartered job description of the city manager. You're talking about during this interim period of how, what's being covered?
yeah, I don't know. I guess I just want to talk a little bit about what it is really we're trying to accomplish and what timeline we're trying to accomplish it on. And I want to make sure when we advertise for that position that we really have, we look good and will attract good candidates. So I'm not quite sure what that means, except that I feel like we haven't really had a moment to kind of pause and reflect on what we've just been through and whether or not that changes anything about how we understand the job.
The job doesn't change, the job is by the charter. And we have already that contract in place and that's already approved by the council. And so now it's just a matter of advertising it. We're not gonna go and undo a charter.
So the job description is defined by charter?
Yeah, it was already,
actual
everything
components
was,
of the job
yeah, the
description?
lawyers put it all together, it was already approved by the council, so now it's just a matter of re-advertising, and it's a matter of format, you wanna re-advertise and when you want to, if you're ready to look for a city manager. What's your thought?
I agree with Chris.
I do like the idea of taking a look at our current structure to make sure nobody's being overburdened, nothing's being lax behind, that kind of thing, so we don't find ourselves flooded again. It'd be nice to relook at everything structure-wise to see what we could fill in while we're looking for somebody, because we've taken
Agreed.
3 months, we've taken a year to find somebody, so.
So that's kind of the second part of the discussion, which is the interview maybe discussion, right? But what I'm trying to find out first is, you're ready to advertise for a city manager sooner than later. Now we can go to, what do we need, right? In between. But before we do that, are you good with us beginning the advertisements with just the paper and, you know, the CPA and Indeed, et cetera, like we did originally, or do you want to actually contract with the headhunter immediately? Just thought I'd throw that out there.
For the city manager.
Mm-hmm. Just for the city manager, Kim.
Would the VLCT do it for free?
I'll work on that.
I mean,
I'm like this close. I'm talking with them about that, so I think if it'll be reasonable if we go forward, maybe just costs and stuff, you know. So, but I will get you that information.
whichever would bring in the applicants.
Mm-hmm. Or we could do it all, like we did last time. I just want to know where your heads are at on how you want to proceed with that.
I'm thinking if we go bigger, we throw out the net on all wider locations.
Mm-hmm. We did a national search last time, remember we, you know, wasn't. So anyway, okay, so I will contact VLCT, find that out, get you that information, okay? And then I'll let you know the different places that we would advertise with them, without them, and we can make that decision if we have to. But let's go to the other interviews. Remember, we had the council approved the city accountant position. So we got a check back from the CPA board that I gave to the treasurer's department because it had never been posted. So I'm going to repost that position, so we'll get that office management city accountant going as well. You good with that?
And that was either or. In other words, we weren't going to have a comptroller and this accountant.
Correct.
It was a either or.
Correct. And I'm waiting to hear from our comptroller. I can only, speak specifically here. And we should be hearing back with some more information from our comptroller tomorrow. And so that will also help determine that. Okay, so I just want, once I know that.
Yeah,
But it's not going to be two
okay, yeah.
people. Okay, just going to be one or the other. Okay? Okay, so we're good with that. I'll follow up, get some information, shoot that information out appropriately as we need to have a further discussion.
Okay.
Are you good with that? You good with that?
Yep.
Good with that? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the grants update, and I would like to recognize our internal grant manager, Mr. Cheney.
You changed the order.
I changed the order?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Sneaky
so,
little-
do I have to come up there? Everybody can hear me, correct?
No.
You wanna see it?
Speak through there,
Okay, so basically it's been an interesting 2 weeks. I'm here to do an update. It will be a general one. It would be take too long to do a really specific one, and there's a lot going on. So basically what I had anticipated doing was to basically identify the status of each of the grants, to lay out some sort of tracking mechanism so that we had that wasn't in existence. So that we could, monitor this stuff in a more organized manner and then just move forward with the tasks at hand. That actually, we only got through the identification process because what we found is that there were some very substantial delinquencies that demanded immediate attention. So that we basically, I did get some help from Linda, but basically the last 2 weeks has been avoiding any harmful effects from lapses in relationship to the completion of the responsibilities. And this, and I don't want this to just reflect on recent past. Some of this goes back 12 and 18 months. Okay. So basically, the process has been one of which has been very difficult, okay, to try to understand what has occurred over such a long period of time, or in this particular case, what hasn't occurred, okay. Now, the reason that I decided to stop the general process is because I believe that a lot of your cash flow issues are associated with the lack of attention to this. And I think Jim's life's probably been made significantly more difficult, unfortunately, because you have to understand how this works. Okay, you get a grant, you spend the money, and once you've spent the money and you can prove that you spent the money, you send the invoices in. Along with that come a whole host of conditions of approval that have to be met along the way. And if you do all these things in the proper order, like a good little soldier, okay, you can submit the money and get the cash. Now, basically, I'm not going to go into everything here because it just would take too much time. I'm going to give you some highlights. Some are good, some are hard facts, and I apologize for that. And I wish I didn't have to do it, honestly. The police department took over their grant administration on their own and has been doing a wonderful job with it, and they are completely up to date. And I think you have a very, very competent department head. He doesn't know this, I haven't spoken to him yet, to thank for that, okay? Linda assisted Mike Welsh in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Mayor Sullivan, I apologize, okay. In the last 3 or 4 weeks. And Mike Welsh was able to obtain all of the back information that he has been waiting for an extended period of time. And we are current, he's getting ready to turn it over, and he is current and up to date. In fact, he started his billing this week. Okay, his requests for, his submissions for payment on some of the grants, especially the Causeway. Gardner Park was the other big one. You've heard about this before, mostly probably about the permits. However, understand that there was about 13 or 14 items that had been on the books for quite a while, 8, 9, 10 months. And I'm not going to go into listing them. Carter Finnegan, bless her heart, and Mike Brown assisted greatly in getting all that caught up. She has gotten everything up to the point, with our help, okay, getting the information from within inside, which is really was our role there. We are anticipating the ability to build the full amount of that grant in the very near future. Okay, we were a long ways away from that just 8 weeks, 6 weeks ago. The big one is the water tower. So as you know, okay, the bank suspended your ability to draw the construction line of credit a few weeks ago. And that was because the conditions of the loan approval were not met. Okay, that problem has been alleviated, okay, and all conditions currently are met, and you can draw your construction loan at this particular point in time. Okay, now the next thing I'll cover is basically why that was. The city has spent $2.1 million on this project. That's not just what's invoiced, that's actually the dollars that have gone out. And we have not billed a single invoice dating back to June of 2023. Okay, we have a grant for $1 million, and we have not drawn a penny off it. Okay, that is actually why the bank shut the line of credit down. Okay, I billed so there was all these stipulations and requirements that had to be done, contractor certifications that hadn't been done. We got all that done and submitted $1.5 million worth of invoices last week. It seems to have gone through. I have another $611,000 ready to go out the door probably this week. I see no particular reason, based on my conversations with a very helpful state worker, the only one that will answer the phone in the world, that I can find so far, that we should get some of that money in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So all this combined, to put it in a sort of synopsis, should not only has the line of credit been freed up, so we won't have any additional issues with that or construction loan, but all of this should mean $550,000, $650,000 coming in the foreseeable future. All right, that's money that's already been spent. Okay, so we'll significantly, hopefully, and if we can continue to capitalize on this, although a lot of the other grants are smaller and are not really all to the phase where you're spending lots of money yet, then this should grow. And I think that where this has affected the city an awful lot, and probably is why some of the extra borrowing was needed, is that the time lag between when Jim's dishing out these huge, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, where Jim's dishing out these huge blocks of money and the money's coming back into the coffers, okay, has to be narrowed down. Okay, so that we don't end up until the increases, most likely, I'm getting into something else, I'm sorry.
I see.
Until the increases from what you've done with the water and sewer have caught up a little bit, And I think that this process going forward, if it can be done more timely, will help a great deal, okay, in that. As far as the other ones, I'm not gonna get into it. I will tell you that I suspect that we have a great deal of delinquencies as well. They're probably not as pressing, although I'll give you an example on the grandstand. Oh my God, I'm gonna mention the grandstand. The federal portal that allows you to collect federal dollars has lapsed. Our membership has lapsed. It was allowed to lapse. I identified it a week ago. I get the process of getting it back online is significant, okay, especially once you let it lapse, and try to get hold of somebody in Washington. And I suspect that I will be able to get this fixed in the relatively near future. That's next on the list. So projects like the HUD grandstand is not able to be built right at this particular point in time, okay? I can go on, I don't think I need to, okay? You asked me if I was happy. It's one thing to take over a project midstream, it's another thing to have to construct it back for 12, 18 months. I'm not happy with that, and I do not want this to reflect directly on the person immediately preceding me entirely, because I do not think that that would be a fair assessment. There are others that had a role in this as well. I think it's time that we just focus on what we need to do going forward. I'll get it done as fast as I can. However, it's difficult to get a hold of anybody, to be quite honest with you. I don't think any of the rest of it is going to be enormously harmful. I think that this just needs to be organized better, okay? And once there is a official tracking situation and reporting situation and communication process in place, okay, with the proper follow-up, I do not think that this should ever occur again. Okay, did anybody, do you want to ask me a question? I'm not supposed to ask that.
Right, I'll ask you.
Okay.
Does anybody? Sure.
So Frank, there are three numbers that interest me. You said that 1.5 million has gone out as invoice at this point.
20% of that should come back in from the grant, or $306,000.
And what's with the other 80% then?
That's the portion that the HUD grant will, the total budget's 4.6 million.
Yep.
The grant is 997,000. Okay, that's 20% of the total amount. So what they'll do is, as you submit the invoices, they'll pay you 20% up to $1 million.
Thank you. So we've spent 1.5 million
We've
to date on
spent
the project.
2.1 million on the project. I submitted 1.5 million of it.
You got 600,000 more ready to go.
I got it in the, right in the pathway. I just wanted to make sure that the first 1.5, considering it was the first one I did, and it did. I talked to him yesterday, and he's good with it. It should go right through. I think I'm all set to submit the other 611,000.
And so together, that 2.1 million represents
$450,000 in grant money that we should receive in the very foreseeable future. And we are now set up with all the prerequisites in relationship to contractor certification, all of the annual reports, everything's up to date. So the minute that Jim now gets, we get an invoice and he pays it, as soon as that canceled check comes back, excuse me, my voice is going, as soon as that canceled check comes back, okay, then I should be able to turn it right around, okay, and submit it to the state. That immediately will allow Jim to draw off the line of credit, okay, to pay the bill back, and then we will wait for our 20%. Now, the reason why you want to submit every invoice is because we want the full $1 million, right? Okay. So we're going to submit every single invoice back to the date of its inception, which is about, they started, from what I can identify, in June of 2023. Right?
Thank you.
I'm all set.
Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Okay.
All this, don't go so far away. The next item on the agenda is the reappraisal contract selection with a potential vote. I would like to recognize Mr. Cheney, our zoning administrator assessor.
Oh, that's me again?
That's you again. Come on up.
Okay.
I apologize if I
That's
move my
okay,
neck
you
like
did it
this,
in the wrong
because I
order.
took off one.
Okay, so this is the citywide appraisal. What I'm hoping for tonight is that we will tentatively select a contractor and allow me to enter and whoever else you want, enter into final contract. I have a sample contract, but the contract's very important. And I need to have some direct conversation with the individual that you choose, okay? I will come back to you with a contract that's acceptable, hopefully, and then you can grant it at that time. So there, just a little history, there's only 10 approved contractors in the state of Vermont, okay, after a lot of research, mostly conversation with my district advisor with PVR. We submitted 4 our requests for proposals, okay? And I spoke to all these people at length, both before and during the process. I only got 2 back. Okay, the 2 that I didn't get back were from the national companies. Okay, which I'm not sure, that was more, I think it was a staffing issue. So the 2 we got back were from NEMREC, who we're all very familiar with and who Jim works with very closely and we have a very good relationship with. And New England Municipal Consultant, Inc., which is a local company as well, a state of Vermont company based out of the St. Johnsbury area. They employ Patriot software. Okay, so with either one of these, we are going to be going through a software change, which honestly was going to need to happen anyways. You know, both of these people are enormously competent and qualified. All right, I spent hours and hours and hours with them before. Linda and I interviewed them both. I've talked to the district supervisors, I've talked to the head of PBR, and to an awful lot of people that they work for. I think that we would be satisfied with both parties. In fact, I think either one would be a very good choice. Price, I'm not sure that that's the main factor. They're about the same. One's $243, but it's $5,000 a month for support. Okay, $7,000, excuse me. The other one's $267, but it's $2,000 a month for support. So it's about a $5,000 a year difference. The main reason is that with NEMREC, because we already have all their other modules, okay, we do not have to buy support, only a $2,000 for the individual components. To put it in perspective, I budgeted $280,000, okay, in the budget, so we are good, which I was really quite worried about. I think they want our business, especially the one from St. Johnsbury. I think this is a relatively good account for them in the local area, and I think it will be well served with either one. So I will tell you, the one I'm recommending is the one out of St. Johnsbury. New England Municipal Consultants. They were very impressive, and I'll give you the reasons why I think we should use them. First of all, software compatibility. Okay, the state of Vermont, I don't know if anybody's familiar with VT-Pi. Very soon they're going to have our entire grand list module down there. Okay, they are moving presently to a Catalyst-based system. Okay, Patriot's parent company is Catalyst. Okay, so when we start talking about integration, okay, and the bridging between the 2 modules, which has been a real big problem for me, this obviously being generated by the same company will help a great deal. 2, they can do it a year earlier. Okay, they can do it to be an abstract as of June 2028. NEMREC, who I also like very much and support a lot, I think they do good, is 2029. 3, local knowledge. Okay, and you will be dealing with the owner and the owner's son, although they have 20 employees. I think you will see them up here directly themselves from an account like this. They have local knowledge of the local players, especially the commercial players. And I think that that's a huge advantage, understanding the Northeast Kingdom. Okay? Lastly, and most importantly, I think you're gonna get a better product. Based on what I heard, I'd say you'd get 65, 70% inside inspections, especially if I'm working with them to get that done. I think that the other one is much more of a computer-based sample where you'll get 20% interior inspections. The number of interior inspections is critical to having these come out equitably. I think your commercial evaluations will be far more, what's the word I want to use? Fair, equitable. Okay, it won't be all real estate done. I think that there's some income-based stuff that's going to be thrown into here if you use these people, which in my opinion is an absolute necessity. And I think they will be more supportive. Okay, they're actually going to schedule informal hearings on every person that's changed and do them themselves with me in order to avoid the monster of a appeal process that we went through last time, which lasted how long? 2 years. So in other words, by doing it informally over the phone, I think that we can mitigate an enormous amount of that cost and time and anger. Okay, that's going to potentially be associated with this. That's my spiel.
Okay, so you have asked the council to have a motion to choose a contractor pending final contract negotiation.
And then I'll represent a finished contract, and then at that time you'd make a final decision. That sound right? Okay.
Kevin, you look like you have a question. Oh. Any questions? Okay, so may I have a motion to choose a contractor pending final contract negotiations on the reappraisal?
Can you name the contractor?
Which one?
New England Municipal.
That's the one, right? New England Municipal Consultants LTD.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, comment? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is granted.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Downtown Vibrancy Fund Municipal Letter of Attestation with a potential vote. Who? Dave?
Can speak to it?
You're going to speak to it? Okay. Council member, you are it.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'm going to abstain from this vote. Last year at this time I presented, this is simply a letter that the state requires in order for Newport Downtown Development to receive a $25,000 vibrancy grant that goes to each of the designated downtowns across the state. And what they're asking the city council to do is to commit that the city council will not then lower the support that the city is providing as a result of the state providing this support, because it's intended to be an additional support to the downtown organization. So every organization across the state that receives the Downtown Vibrancy Grant is being asked to have a similar attestation. And I'll abstain in the vote.
Any questions? Do you have a question?
Still be.
Okay, so may I please have a motion to approve the Downtown Vibrancy Fund Municipal Letter of Attestation?
So,
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
comment? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. So do you need us to sign off on this now, correct?
Yes, please.
Have to date it too.
All good?
I'm just gonna add the date here.
Sure. And I guess Jim will need a copy of that.
I'll get a copy to you tomorrow.
And also, well, yeah, Jim gets it with the minutes. Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the revised VHB master plan update with a potential vote. Recognize Mr. LaForce. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'll bring this up. I'm taller than Mr. Frank.
And I'm sorry about the short so I don't like to go up there.
All right, so everybody got the revised plan in their packet. So I do want to start again thanking all of you for trusting NDD. It's really appreciated, and we take this work seriously, so thank you for your trust. So I want to go over really quick what we've done since your approval of the draft, which happened several weeks ago. So since then, NDD conducted an online survey where almost 150 people filled out questions on each individual site and the plan overall. We received great feedback and a great approval rating of the plan, so I wanted you guys to be aware of that. More than 70% indicated they were very positive or neutral about the plan, and we consider that a great success. So that's a really great percentage overall. We did hold a public forum at the library where the public could come in and ask questions and offer feedback. Again, this was very well attended with close to 40 people in attendance. What was really great was we had a lot of new faces, which was phenomenal. And then that event also greatly contributed to the feedback. We also had several meetings with individuals that want to meet with us individually, and that went well as well. We also sent individual postcards to every city resident, so that way the whole entire community would be aware that this plan was available. So that postcard told them where the plan was, how they could offer feedback, and also talked about the open forum and those types of things. We did several social media posts that were well received and very successful. We also did an NEK-TV spot explaining the plan, and that video had over 100 views, which is phenomenal. As far as changes to the plan from all the feedback we received, we thought it was wise to amend the plan to include that feedback. So The public was very engaged, so you'll see on pages 11 through 13, it lists that feedback. And we thought including the public priorities would be very important to the plan. So you'll see that on page 12, which lists the public's priority list from greatest to least importance. We also made a change to the overall maps to make the public spaces clearer. The public areas now are highlighted in green, which you probably saw, which include the entire waterfront area where the boardwalk is located, the entire waterfront area in front of the proposed waterfront plaza development, because that was very unclear from the feedback that we received. A lot of residents thought that that whole waterfront was going to be closed off to the public, and that is not true. So now that is really clear. The new area on Coventry Street, there's going to be a new walking path going down that direction, so we indicated that in green as well, so it was clear. And that's on pages 28 and 29. And then over the weekend, we also had VHB, so sorry we couldn't include that in the packet, there just wasn't enough time. But on pages 59 and 89, the waterfront specific drawings have that green highlight area. So that way it's really clear that those are public spaces, okay? We also strengthened the language in the housing section to make it clear that this plan and the housing in this plan is to address the missing middle, because a lot of people were very confused about that. So what does that mean? That means this is housing for teachers, hospital workers, manufacturing workers, and the elderly. So we wanted that to just be crystal clear, so that's modified in the plan. We also added language that the city will work with all existing businesses as this plan starts to materialize, because there was a lot of comment from the public, what's going to happen to my post office, what's going to happen to Hoagie's, what's going to happen to all these businesses. So we wanted to make it really clear that we're not going to come in and kick these businesses out. That's not the intent. We're going to work with them, okay? The development block, there was some concern regarding the building height. So we had VHB make some modifications to the plan to address those. You will see on page 49, we added a 3D image view of going down East Main Street, going down Main Street, going in an eastward direction. So you can see the height of that building in comparison to the courthouses. So now it's really clear, and you can see that visual, that this is not going to be a skyscraper in the middle of Newport. So that was very helpful. We also renumbered the floor levels because the initial plan was confusing. They took the basement level and labeled that level 1. So people thought it was much higher than what it actually was. So that has been addressed in the plan. Performing arts was a big piece of feedback from the community, the importance of that. So we added language that a performing arts space will be included somewhere on the waterfront area to encourage public use of the waterfront space. So that you'll see included both on the waterfront plaza area and also Gray's Landing as well. We also added a right-of-way indication on the waterfront plaza site because Dina Gray and Gray's Landing has a right-of-way through the Parmelo property. So that was also put in the plan so it's crystal clear that that exists. And then besides that, we address spelling, street name errors, and all sorts of little details like that. So there's my overview.
Okay. Before I bring it here, Mr. Cheney, did you want to just give them an update on your meeting and your?
David was at our meeting, but I can
Right.
update everybody else if you'd like. You
Yeah.
have a letter.
I know, it's.
You have a letter that, you know, I don't need you up there. We've been involved, the Planning Commission and I have been involved with this situation and with David in the development of this. And they've met with us a number of different times. My committee wrote a letter very much in support of the concept of this plan. We've done an extensive amount of work on the housing problem, and we believe that this plan represents a good partner for us in that as far as a solution, and we would recommend wholeheartedly this plan in a positive light. Jay, is that, okay.
Yes.
So, may I have a motion to approve the revised VHB master plan? I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Comment? Ms. Grimm?
Lori Grimm, City of Newport, is there a copy of the revised plan somewhere where the public can see it?
Yes, so after you vote this evening, if you vote to approve it, we'll be posting that tomorrow morning, first thing, on our NDD website.
And I assume first we can
And
post it
on
again to the
Sure.
Yeah.
council.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Schultz?
I had a couple of questions that may not all need to be answered now, and we all know how concrete I think, so here we go. I saw something in either the plan or in the MOU, I can't remember where it talks about the NDD not being responsible in any way for the contracts. And then I got to thinking, well, who is going to supervise the completion of the projects as they go along? Is that an NDD obligation, or is that a city, another city employee that we need? I thought about NDD, and it runs magnificently with 2 employees, I believe, and a host of wonderful volunteers. But I wonder, as these projects begin to get moving, won't that require more employees, and who's going to pay for those employees? And the other thing, which I have previously mentioned, I worry about the initial costs of infrastructure that the city is going to be paying for before the incremental increase in the property value occurs, which could take years, depending upon the size of the project, and how fast that they can convey what the cost might be, so that we could put it in the budget, so that if the citizens are going to be paying for it, we should budget for it, as opposed to having a budget that doesn't cover any of those costs. So those are the 3 things that I would like to eventually know about, if not tonight. I think it's important to have the answers. Thanks.
Want me to answer that?
If you'd like to, as long as you don't need to be committal, but
Right.
just kind of in general.
Yeah, so I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. So we haven't even gotten to the phase where we can answer a lot of those questions. I can tell you that we're working our way to get those answers. So it's too soon in the process right now to answer those
Right,
questions.
especially if you get into the TIF or not TIF, then it's an entirely different, who's going to be managing that, there are requirements for that, the developers, et cetera, and all of the way that's going to be run. So there's still like so much detail that we would have to do. So this is just the approval of this plan, and then of course we'll be back here over and over and over again as we go through every single phase of it.
Yeah.
So, in all
Agreed.
fairness, that's why I didn't want you to say, oh,
Right.
NDD's gonna do this,
No.
and the city's gonna do this, but it's gonna be all of those.
Right.
Depending upon the phase and the requirements. Yes, sir.
I'd like to, I'm Phil Steiner, I'm a resident of Newport, and I just wanted to compliment Dave and his committee on conducting a very transparent effort. We're very respectful of everyone that participated, and I think they did a fabulous job.
So I have a vote in a second, any further discussion?
Actually, Madam Mayor, if I could I just want to state that I'm going to go ahead and vote on this matter and then recuse myself in the next matter on the agenda for the MOU.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried, and I look forward to that link. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the proposed MOU with Newport Downtown Development with a potential vote.
So just to clarify, do you want me to just barrel through this?
Actually did.
Okay. So very much like we did when we engaged with VHB, this is a similar situation that we'd like to use, moving ahead with White and Burke, providing that we can get there with them. So Newport Downtown Development, ADD, agrees to manage a collaborative process with the mayor and the council of the city of Newport in order to prepare the city to submit an application for a TIF district and follow through on any necessary tasks to assure its approval by appropriate state entities. The process will include developing an appropriate contract with White and Burke to be submitted to the mayor and council for their approval, or if that company is unavailable or unsuitable for any reason, to seek another qualified company with approval by the mayor and for the final contract approval by council. The expected deliverables for any such contract will be to prepare the TIF application and shepherd its way through the state approval process. Carrying out a strong public education campaign to help the residents of Newport to fully understand how a TIF proposal works and what its benefits and risks are in preparation for future votes to support the development of public infrastructure in downtown Newport. Working closely with the mayor and council to build relationships with potential developers and to seek initial agreements for council's review to assure that development projects enumerated in the 2024 detailed master plan can be carried out in a timely fashion beginning as soon as possible following state approval for the TIF plan and community approval for necessary bonds for public infrastructure. Working with appropriate funding agencies locally, on the state level, regionally, and on the federal level to identify appropriate resources for necessary funding stacks to complete initial projects. Providing the mayor and council with access to all information obtained in the process of managing the development of the TIF district and developing plans with developers, assuring that the mayor and council are fully knowledgeable and prepared to make informed decisions regarding needed action at each step in the process. Unless renewed, this contract expires at the successful conclusion of TIF approval on or on April 1st, 2026, whichever comes first. Throughout the process and at the end of the contract, NDD will share the final work product with the council along with recommendations to the councils for next steps. Assumptions. NDD has the capacity to manage the administrative responsibilities of this project. NDD will not seek additional financial support from the city of Newport for these administrative functions beyond the $30,000 that was given in financial year 24-25 and requested again by NDD for financial year 25 and 26. NDD will work with the mayor and council to support the city of Newport in seeking appropriate grant funding to cover all direct costs associated with agreed upon contracts for service. In signing this contract, NDD is not assuming responsibility for those contractual expenses. NDD understands its role to be that of project manager in support of the city of Newport. NDD will make no substantive decisions in carrying out this effort without consultation with the mayor and the council. NDD's offer to manage this project is possible because of three primary assets. One, the continuing exemplary work of the Economic Development Task Force and the Housing Committee, both of which are made up of community leaders in the business, public, and nonprofit sectors. The contracted labor provided by Brian Gray, with whom we have signed a contract to help direct NDD's emerging effort to help shape a proactive economic development strategy for and with Newport. NDD's strong board of directors that's committed to acting proactively to support the city of Newport in developing our downtown. So I'll also attach this as a memorandum of understanding. And we thought it was important to talk about what's this look like going forward, because obviously this is a big project, a big undertaking. So we kind of broke this down into 4 steps. So those 4 steps are, so step 1, retain White and Burke as advisory to explore and recommend the components of the strongest possible TIF application. And with that, 3 things under there. Areas to include in a TIF district, a strategy to approach the legislator, addressing concerns that arise to assure a successful TIF application. Number 2, step 2, seek council approval to proceed with a TIF application upon completion of a community forum and opportunity for the community to offer feedback. Step number 3, final approval to submit the application. And then the final phase, which is step 4, approval to proceed with a bond vote based on current understanding of initial project's developers.
So, get the conversation going. May I have a motion to approve the proposed MOU with Newport Downtown Development?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments?
Can I ask questions?
No, you can give me your comments.
Okay, can I just make a comment? As I listen to all that,
To me.
including...
To me.
Oh, I'm sorry. As I listen... I'm trying to hang myself on the camera here and move it on you. As I listen to all that, including the line about your exemplary ability to put these together, what I found really confusing was that this almost sounds as though we're being committed to a TIF, but with no understanding of where that TIF would be, because the phrase TIF district makes zero sense when my understanding before was that a TIF was in relation to a specific project. So there's a lot of lack of clarity
Okay,
there.
so I'm gonna not take that as a question, but I am going to speak to this, okay? The president of the council and I and Mr. LaForce actually met with consultants. And this is literally just let's find out if this is even feasible to do a TIF to start. And then if so, okay, what type of work would you need to get it done? How many people would you need inside or externally to make it happen? What would be the most ideal situation, and then bring it back? That's the start. So it may turn out after that initial phase of let's dig in and do some work to see what information you have, that's dead. Or it may be, hey, you have 3 great projects, now let's come back. So this is not do a TIF,
Okay.
okay? And I want that to be very clear, okay? This is work with the professionals, which will first get a contract and it'll come through here and everybody will see it, okay? But that's what this is. So it's almost, and as they said, homework time. We're going to send you all homework and you have to answer all of these things before we can even make a decision as to whether or not it's feasible. Did I get that pretty much? Okay. So, no questions. Commission.
Sure. Just to speak a bit about TIFs and what they bring to a city, it's an excellent financial mechanism for repairing old infrastructure. You probably hear a lot about federal money for infrastructure, but generally that's only for new infrastructure. They'll give you money all day long to build out and create new housing, out in the farther parts of your community, but they won't pay for a 100-year-old water line that's running down the middle of Main Street that will actually have to be replaced in order to build a building there. That would be borne by the public. We don't budget for those things. We budget for repairs. We don't budget for the replacement of something for 50 years or 100 years out that we know it's going to need to be replaced. So this kind of a TIF mechanism is an excellent means and method to marry a project with the infrastructure repairs needed to support that, as well as other businesses within the city. If you put a new water line in here, the businesses off of that will all benefit, not just the project that's being built.
Thank you. Mr.
how do I not ask it as a question? I'd like to find out. I'd like to find out who's paying for White and Burke, and there's another consultant you mentioned. Is it the city or is it NDD? And I'd also, the language that I find a little disturbing is that NDD will act as the project manager and that they will consult with the city. But it sounds as if, you know, if I'm the boss, the project manager, I could talk to people and they could say what they want, but in the end, I'm the project manager. And I just want to know who's controlling here.
So no question. Okay. So we, of course, will get the contract. It's, you know, most probable that it would be the city that would do the engagement, but there would, because of the TIF requirements with this, you know, going into the legislature, et cetera, and that's what we're waiting to see. The consultants are going to lay that all out for us, of who would have to do what. So until we get this draft contract sent over to us, I can't give you specifics, but everything is going to be laid out in this contract. And that's why I said we are at the discussion phases. My main concern was to make sure that we had no conflicts of interest anymore with White and Burke, and we don't, and to make sure that we could go forward and we wouldn't have any issues that way, and that if in fact White and Burke, like, because they do represent a BGS, and if that was going to be something that found its way into our plan, they have already made it very clear that they represent us and they do not represent BGS. So that was very important. So that was this initial phase. So until we get the contract and they lay this all out, and I'm assuming they're going to say, based on this, this is how it works. So I really can't answer the non-question yet, but I we'll definitely have that contract, and they said they would get it to us within the next week or so, right? So, and we did have and we were on there with them about an hour, I would say. So asking this, yes. Mm-hmm.
And just for clarity, and I guess the words project manager, when we talk about project manager, we're not talking about project manager for the entire development of
Right.
Newport. We're talking about managing this project with White and Burke, for clarity. So I think that might have been a
Thank you.
question.
I think somebody else had a question. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion here? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Thank you, everybody.
Jim, I just asked that the record show that I abstained on that vote, please.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is unwinding of a tax sale with a potential vote. We had a tax sale, though there was a 2023 tax sale on property at 122 Hinman Street, and the city's delinquent tax collector didn't properly convey that property through the tax collector's deed to the Spates Family LLC. And so we need to unwind that, but what that means is we need to give back money to the Spates family so they can then go forward with getting a quitclaim deed for themselves to do what they need to do on this particular project, which means that and then after going forward, if there's any further sales, etc., like with that the next tax sale with the mortgage holder, we would give that mortgage holder notice of what took place so that we would regroup our money. And our attorney has actually asked that they ask for a motion to approve the unwinding of the tax sale for 122 Hinman Street, and to authorize the mayor to execute any documents related to the transaction. However, they did give us the caveat where they said they actually do not believe that there will be anything for the mayor to sign, but they'd like to have this motion authorizing it in case something does come up. And that would mean that, and the treasurer has been copied on this as well, that we would be issuing a warrant for $4,551.03. So may I have a motion to approve the unwinding of the tax sale for 122 Hinman Street and to authorize the mayor to execute any documents related to the transaction?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Comments? Further discussion?
Can I just ask a question for clarification?
Sure.
So the sale actually took place and resulted in $4,500 coming to the city?
Well, yeah, there were different amounts of money that were held in the IOTA funds, et cetera, and then we have to give back. This is the warrant money we have to give back. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. And, yeah, I will, okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the evaluation of a candidate for potential appointment as a fire chief. Executive session 1 VSA section 313A1 with a potential vote. May I please have a motion to find a premature public general knowledge of the confidential attorney-client communications made for providing legal services to the city council would place the city at a substantial disadvantage because disclosure of the otherwise confidential advice and communication would harm the city by waiving the city's attorney-client privilege. 1 VSA section 313A1F.
I'll move it.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, all those in favor please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it and the motion is carried. May I have a motion to enter into executive session to evaluate a candidate for potential appointment as fire chief and invite candidates, the fire department representatives, and our city attorneys into executive session?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second? A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion is carried, and we are in executive session. No, I don't. We're out of executive session. The next item on the agenda is the hiring and firing policy executive session. Where's that new updated code? For 1 VSA section 313A3 with a potential vote. May I have a motion to find a premature public general knowledge of the confidential attorney-client communications made for providing legal services to the city council would place the city at a substantial disadvantage because disclosure of the otherwise confidential advice and communication would harm the city by waiving the city's attorney-client privilege, 1 VSA section 313A1F.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, can you please keep it down out there? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it and the motion is carried. May I have a motion to enter executive session to discuss confidential attorney-client communications with the city attorneys for the purpose of providing professional legal services and invite the city attorney into the executive session pursuant to 1 VSA section 313A1F.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. We are in executive session. We're out of executive session, no action taken, and to reiterate, there was no action taken at the prior executive session. Next item on the agenda is the open meeting law violation allegations, potential executive session, 1 VSA section 313A1F. May I have a motion to find the premature public general knowledge of the confidential attorney-client communications made for providing legal services to the city council will place the city at a substantial disadvantage because disclosure of the otherwise confidential advice and communication would harm the city by waiving the city's attorney-client privilege, 1 VSA section 313A1F.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. May I have a motion to enter executive session to discuss confidential attorney-client communications with the city attorney for the purpose of providing professional legal services and invite the city attorneys into the executive session pursuant to 1 VSA section 313A1F. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. The motion is carried, and we are in executive session.
Yes.
We are out of executive session. No action was taken.
Madam Mayor, I have a motion
Please.
on the matter of the allegation of an open meeting law violation as referenced in a December 12th correspondence from Jennifer Bierling. I move that we deny the allegation regarding November 8th, 2024 meeting as stated.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Comment? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Madam Mayor, I have a second motion
Please proceed.
regarding open meeting law violations in the same correspondence on December 12th from Jennifer Bierling on an open meeting law, 2 open meeting law violations in the December 2nd, 2024 meeting. I move that we deny those allegations as stated.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Comment? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next item on the agenda. I apologize for comments by members of the public. We are on agenda item number 18, I believe.
16.
Well, we had moved some around.
Lost slide 18.
18. Comments by members of the public. We are going to be opening the floor to public comment. Members of the audience are reminded that members of the press are present and that these proceedings are being recorded for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. Members of the audience are further reminded that Newport City Council meetings are for the purpose of allowing council members to conduct city business. City council meetings are the only time the city council discusses, deliberates, and decides upon city matters. City council meetings are held in public to promote transparency and accountability in government, but are distinct from public hearings or town meetings in that they are not meetings of the public. Members of the public shall be afforded a reasonable opportunity to express opinions about matters considered by the city council. To conduct orderly and efficient meetings, I kindly request the public's cooperation and compliance with the published guidelines when participating in the meeting. Thank you. When your name is called, please speak into the microphone, state your name and residence and/or affiliation. Please remember to speak through the mayor. Only speak when you are recognized. You will have 2 minutes for your comment. And let us begin. Ms. Sharilla?
Hi, I know what you said about TIF, that we might not get one. But we have also something that runs parallel and similar in some ways to it, which is a real big break for some companies who come to this city in the past, and they can get what's called, and I never believed it really was, tax stabilization. And what it meant was if they had the right number of employees that they said they were going to get, and a series of other requirements, that they would get like to pay only 20% of their taxes the first year, then maybe only 40% the second year until 5 years passed. And if we allow us to get involved in a TIF and we pay for their infrastructure, and then they sort of qualify for tax stabilization, they get like a double whammy. So all I wanted to do is ask you to, could you please look at that tax stabilization piece of whatever it was that put that as a possibility, and make sure it says it's definitely within your discretion, or maybe you want to even say, if you benefit from the TIF, maybe you can't even bother to get a tax stabilization, because otherwise we'll never get back, you know, the money that the citizens and the city lays out until, you know, eternity. So just a thought to please examine that at some point again. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Commissioner Walsh?
Jay Walsh, resident of Newport, Vermont. In an editorial last week by editor Joseph Gresser of the Barton Chronicle, he criticized the Newport City Council for its frequent executive sessions, suggesting they undermine transparency. However, his perspective overlooks a significant factor, and that is that the council's increased need for executive sessions stems from numerous open meeting law complaints and public record requests filed by a single Newport resident, that's attorney Jennifer Buerling. Over the past year, Ms. Buerling has submitted over 30 public record requests seeking extensive communications from the city. That's over 2 a month. More than a dozen open meeting law complaints, including 5 in this past week alone. Hundreds of emails to the mayor and councilors, accompanied by various demands, has made inappropriate direct contacts with city auditors, labor union, and city attorney. In response to formal complaints, the council must consult confidentiality with legal counsel and ensure compliance to protect the city's legal interests. These actions are not indicative of a desire for secrecy, but are necessary to safeguard the city's municipality against potential legal repercussions. The numerous and unnecessary requests by Attorney Buerling can only be described as vexatious. The term vexatious refers to actions pursued to harass and annoy, and they are characterized by being unreasonable, without foundation, frivolous, repetitive, burdensome, or unwarranted. Each of these complaints costs the city both time and money. Attorney Buerling has even been so hypocritical as to make formal statements claiming the city is on the verge of bankruptcy, yet she continues to file costly.
This time.
Can I just finish? In conclusion, it's clear that the City of Newport's council frequently has executive sessions are not a sign of secrecy, but are a necessary defense against relentless and costly vexatious actions. As responsible citizens, we must respect our city employees' time and energy and ensure that our tax dollars are directed towards progress and solutions, not wasted on frivolous and self-serving distractions of a single resident.
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Ladd?
I'm Ladd, City of Newport, and to pick right up from where Mr. Walsh left off, I have recently been the subject of one of Ms. Lawyer Buerling's complaints, which was a blatant lie. So that makes me wonder how many more of her complaints are absolute lies. What a waste of public energy, time, your time, our time, and debate, public debate as to what's true, what isn't true. How many ways can we split a hair? I know that you guys can't do anything about it, and that she can continue to thoroughly enjoy herself by spinning every day, by annoying, by interfering. It's interfering with city business. I mean, imagine if you didn't have that weight on top of you, what we could do. The real question for me is not what you can do, because I don't think there's much you can do other than continue to talk to a lawyer sitting up there and take all of our money. But what can we do as citizens? We're citizens, we're also objecting. There has to be a way that we can say, we have had enough, because I've certainly had enough. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next item on the agenda is new business. President Vachon.
I do. I'm just going to make it formal that I am not seeking re-election for this next round, so it's been a privilege, but I need to focus on family time.
Well, you have been an amazing council president to work with, and you can always change your mind. But thank you, really, thank you for your service, and yeah, you can always change your mind. Councilmember Charbonneau.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Curtis.
I have a few things that are on the warrants that I felt it was better if I just asked a few questions now. Lakeview Aviation for the fire department boat, I can only assume it has an airplane engine on it, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Can someone tell me what has happened at 45 Sunset Terrace where the city has spent $11,209?
I need more information. By an address, I need more.
The warrant saying
Do
Meadows
you know
Plumbing and
about this
Heating, three
Because-
times, Restoration Unlimited, 2 times, for a total of $11,200.
I want to say that these are probably a series of invoices. Let me go, we can go.
Where is it?
Pull these invoices, Jim.
It's at 45 Sunset Terrace.
Apology, repairs at 45 Sunset Terrace, but I'm thinking that this is the water and sewer issues, right? But I'm thinking that these are probably, have some past due invoices. It wasn't just like one invoice, it was just 3 invoices.
Yeah,
So remember,
we can pull them.
we can pull those, so we'll pull those for you.
Okay.
Are these for me?
No,
Are
you
going
can
to-
after, well, I have one.
Okay.
And then, the astounding amount of money we're paying attorneys. $11,610 for 1 month. And then, and looking at the other warrants, previous balance was $38,193. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm gonna spend some time and look into this because I don't find it even to be realistic.
Well, okay.
I think our budget is 15,000 for a year.
Well, whatever your budget was.
Well, I
So
know
what you're
there's-
dealing with here are a lot of the contract work that came into this particular time frame that has been dealt with from the different projects. Okay, you're dealing with some litigious matters, you're dealing with heavy duty time spent on public records requests, but you're dealing with a series of invoices here as well that were held back for a while when I first
I
came
just find
through.
it to be.
But you can look
an
at those, you know.
astounding amount.
Well, that's what we're going through right now. This entire situation has put us on.
That's all I have.
Okay. You'll give me
You
those.
can have that.
Okay, so I'm gonna give this to Jim for these. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business. President Fashawn,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Charbonneau.
Yes, one question.
Mhm.
Mr. Johnson, did a non-employee for the city of Newport bring documents from the city's manager's office to your office?
So this isn't
It's not, it's a non-employee.
No, it's okay. We're not addressing discussions of gossip, we are looking.
Investigation type.
That's correct.
Who's handling
Councilmember-
the investigation?
That I don't know.
So I am dealing with the employee questions that need to be done.
It's not an employee though.
Well, it all ties together with the gossip that was started.
No, it doesn't.
Council
This is a
member,
separate issue.
you don't
I
have
said a
questions.
non-city employee bringing documents to the city clerk's office. How is that an employee issue?
The bottom line is, you're talking about hearsay and gossip that you
I
have
am not. I
started.
spoke directly with members of the city clerk's office.
Really?
They told me, yes, really. I asked and I
So you
said,
spoke to the employees?
I spoke to a employee, yes.
You did, you spoke to an employee and you went on your own as an alderman to do that. Okay, so.
No, I just wanted to get
Thank you,
information and I
Councilmember.
brought it out in the open and you tried to make it part of this rumor.
Council member, thank you. Council member Curtis,
No, thank you.
Council member Alfred Chase.
Yes, I have one item. I'd like to make a motion that we move immediately to post a job announcement for the administrative firefighter position that we approved at the last council meeting.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comment?
I just, sorry, I have a question. Is it the fire chief or the,
No, it's an
It's the
administrative
administrative
firefighter
firefighter.
position.
I'm good.
Okay.
Question, is there, is the job description available? For,
Yeah, the job description was available. Wait, did
I have it
yeah,
here.
we have the job description.
has it been posted at all?
Not yet, this is what we're talking about right now, is to do the posting.
Not even a draft?
As I said, we're doing the posting now, that's what we're making the motion on. So, any further discussion? I have a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. I want to just give you an update on the Capella lawsuit. The schedule has been set for discovery and for time to add additional parties to the lawsuit. And it also should be noted that the city council is who is charged under the charter with preventing and punishing trespasses. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to set the next meeting, regularly scheduled council meeting for January 6, 2025. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it and the motion is carried. Before we adjourn, I want to wish everybody an extremely happy holiday and we will see you all next year. May I have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting at 8:59 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it and the motion is carried. Thank you and everybody have a lovely holiday.